on a secular level. This morning's talk is on this week's Parashat Vay'chi, the blessing, enduring legacy. The theme of this week's Parashat Vay'chi, and he lived, concerns itself with legacy. I dedicate today's talk to the memory of my father, Sam Landsman, whose 99th birthday would have been last week. My father had a deep concern to transmit our family's history to us, as well as to spend time with his Jewish grandchildren and his great-grands, a few of them. Even though he missed my son Max's bar mitzvah due to a dire illness, once he was well enough to fly, he made sure to fly up to hear Max chant from Toyrah when he was given another opportunity to do so. And it was very important to my dad. He really shipped a lot of nachas from that, and it meant a lot to Max. And this brings to mind the Talmud sayings, there's two, that it is a blessing to teach your grandchild Torah. And then there's another one that says it's a blessing for your grandchild to teach you. And as he got older, my father had more leisure time, and he made sure to pass down the importance of Jewish values of tzedakah, respect, ethical behavior, and hard work. And I got to share this talk with Max, and he remembered all sorts of things that his grandpa taught him, and he really liked this talk. Many of us had the good fortune to enjoy grandparents, and many of us now enjoy being grandparents. There is just no denying it. As wonderful as being a mother was and continues to be, there's an even higher level of nachas shipping I get from being a grandma, a bubby. The relationship with a grandchild has fewer tensions. There's fewer diapers to change, no disrupted sleep, and best of all, no nudging anyone to take out the trash or put laundry in the hamper. Of course, you don't need to be a biological grandparent to leave a legacy of ethical behavior and acts of loving kindness. Teachers, supervisors, counselors are like parents. And when your student transmits the lessons you gave to their students, it's a real machaya. You have achieved a kind of immortality. Your inspiration and motivation is your living legacy. And Jacob really lived, as this parsha says, Vay'chi, he lived. We find a description of a grandparent's love in this week's parsha. Jacob expresses joy upon being reunited with his son, who he thought was dead. And he's even happier to meet Joseph's sons, his grandsons. In chapter 48, verse 10 through 12, it says, Israel hugged and kissed his grandsons. He said, I didn't expect to see your face, and look, God has showed me your children too. Jacob doesn't directly bless Joseph here. Well, it's in an earlier verse he does. He blesses his twins, Ephraim and Manasseh. And Manasseh is the older one. Joseph presents them in their birth order, so that Ephraim is by Jacob's left hand and Manasseh's to his right. But Jacob switches his hands, so his right hand is over Ephraim, younger, and his left hand is over Manasseh. This intricate description yields great depth. Chapter 48, verse 20 says, in time, Israel will use you as a blessing. And this we do every Friday night when we bless our sons. We bless our sons to be like Ephraim and Manasseh. Manasseh means God has caused me to forget my hardships and all that was in my father's house. Ephraim means God has made me fruitful in the land of my subjugation. These twins are the first Jewish children born in exile and twins who get along. What a concept. Because, the other twins and the other chapters didn't end so well, right? They didn't get along. The blessing represents a wish for children to keep their Jewish identity intact in diaspora life. The 18th century Rabbi Elimelech of Lezhinsk says that Menashe and Ephraim represent two approaches to the exile. One approach is transcendence, to long to leave the exile and return to your father's house. The other is action, to realize that there's a mission to be carried out there and to toil to succeed. Menashe was the firstborn because, first of all, you need to fall out of place in exile to ensure that you don't become seduced by it. But the primary purpose of being in exile is to succeed in your spiritual mission here, which is why Jacob wished to bless Ephraim first. Rabbi Elimelech goes on to explain that Jacob switched his hands as a matter of respect. He had an obligation to be true to his conscience and to save the boy embarrassment by asking him to move, so he moved his hands, a more subtle and sensitive approach. This scene shows that it's very important not to put people on the spot to cause them embarrassment. I remember Reb Charlie Roth telling me that to cause someone embarrassment is to lose your place in Ha'olam Haba. I believe that's the Chofetz Chaim. We are living in the diaspora among non-Jews who are unfamiliar with Jewish traditions and the endless teachings planted in the coded language of our Holy Torah. May the holy light implanted in the Torah continue to sustain and inspire us to our generations to follow. Vay'chi.